Well, Con, are you ready for another trip down the rabbit hole?
I am.
Shall we gear up?
Let's get going.
Alrighty. Got the appropriate headgear and gloves. And where are we going to go today?
Today we are up in our auxiliary archive building. This is where all of our flat file storage is, where we are currently moving all of the blueprints to, cataloging them, and getting them digitized to go online.
Wow, that's quite the job.
It is. We have thousands of blueprints here on the Nevada Northern, and it's quite the job to sort them, find where they should go, what they belong to, and how our crews can use them today.
And what blueprints are we going to explore today?
I figured today we'd dive into the history of the 1941 rebuild of the East Ely Engine House.
Oh, wow. Alrighty.
You ready?
Lead on.
Okay. So these are the 1941 plans. They reprinted these ones in 1970, but the original drawing was from 1941. And what this shows us is the side profile of the engine house and machine shop building, the front, and the floor plan. And we go through the building today and we think about the engine house as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
We know what the rooms are, we know what we use them for, but what was this building originally? The building was first constructed in 1907, we knew that.
Mm-hmm.
What we didn't know until just a few months ago was that it was actually only one track deep.
Oh, really?
It was 6 stalls and 2 tracks in the machine shop, and that was it. By 1909, the needs of the railroad had grown so much that they doubled the size of the building. So instead of expanding out, they just made the tracks deeper. So now they could fit 12 locomotives in the engine house, they could put 2 locomotives in the machine shop, and they had a materials track.
Okay.
In 1917, they renovate and expand again, and in 1941, they decide to do a total rebuild.
So we're going to take this with us?
No! Why would you say that? We're not going to take the original 1941 plans to a working machine shop. Are you insane?
Yes.
Well, okay. But we do have friends.
Yes,
and
we do.
some of our friends are with Great Basin Heritage, and they provided us a grant to get materials for the archive, including a map scanner and a plotter. And so we're not going to take the plans, but these have been scanned. And our viewers looking at home can view them online on our archive website. And for us, we can print all of these plans, give them to our crews so that the originals are safe and sound right here in our cabinets.
Yeah. And that was a grant from the Great Basin Heritage Area Partnership, which really, again, prior to that grant, we had to take pictures of the originals, and everything we work on here is huge. So you're trying to do something with an 8.5 by 11, so we can actually reproduce these drawings one-to-one, which is just a huge help.
Well, I think what we should do is we should go on an adventure. We have our treasure map that we're going to take with us.
Okay.
And let's go see what stories we can tell in the engine house.
Excellent.
Okay, we are outside of our engine house and machine shop building, and I told you we're going to use our map to start to tell the story of the building. And one of the first things we're going to see is this side profile view of the building right here, basically where we're standing. So the center of the building is this line right here, and if we look, we can see that center line is that concrete pillar with the gutter right next to it that's on these plans. Here's the door that we see right there with the safety first over it. And the original roof line of the building was actually right up there where those large blocks are. That's the original 1907 construction.
All right.
You ready to go in?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, this is the 1907 machine shop, and we walked in the door, and over the door it says safety first. We do allow the public to come into the machine shop and engine house. But there's a couple of things that we need to go over. We need to give a safety briefing. This is the original machine shop and engine house, and work still continues right here today. The other thing is we have these huge pits underneath the locomotives, and there are three things I want you to remember about those pits. Number one, do not fall in one of those pits. And we've been here since 1907. If you fall in a pit, you're going to ruin our tradition of not falling in the pit. Number two, if you should fall in the pit, you could get injured, but I will guarantee you will get filthy, filthy dirty. And number three, if you fall in the pit, you have to stay in the pit until the pit is clean. I figure I deserve something for having to do all of the paperwork explaining you're falling into the pit. So, the other thing we ask is that you don't climb on any equipment, and if you lean up and touch something, you will take a historic souvenir home with you. So, we have over a century of oil, grease, grime, soot, and cinders here. Alrighty, where would you like to start your show and tell?
Well, we're going to start right here, and conveniently enough, this is right underneath our Niles Bimett Pond overhead traveling crane. So when we look at the plans, you can see that the crane doesn't appear on the plans, but the supports of it do. So everything on that side of the building are those concrete pillars that are the original 1910 supports for the crane. When we go past the door, we see that there's the I-beams, and those supports were part of that 1941 rebuild. And if we look at our photos, this originally had a sloped roof here to the back. And so when we look at the wall, we can see the block from 1917, or 1909 when they doubled the building. Mm-hmm. And above that, we can see that 1941 brick pattern.
Right.
Before 1941, the roof came down, and the supports for all of the belt-driven equipment was on that low roof inside this room.
All right, that's the crane. Mm-hmm. All right. And the way they got the crane up there, they jacked it up.
They jacked it up. They brought it in on flat cars. They assembled it here on the floor, and then they jacked and blocked it up to that elevation and put it on those rails.
Doesn't that sound like fun?
It sounds like a long day to me.
Not to mention a dangerous day, too.
Oh, yeah. So here we are. This is the 1917 drop pit that was added. Before you had a drop pit, they had to jack the locomotive up and roll the wheels out from underneath. And I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot of work.
Not to mention, again, the danger aspect.
Oh, extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Instead, what they did was they installed a drop pit. And if you look in from the front, you see that the pit goes much deeper than any other pit on the property. And that's because you roll the locomotive over this jack that's set up underneath.
Right.
You jack that up onto the axle, and then the rails will swing out of the way so that you can drop those wheels down. And then we take these plates out of the way, we can roll that jack over, and our overhead crane will come over and pick those up out of the bed.
In fact, we've used it here on Locomotive 93. You'll notice that Locomotive 93 is missing axle 4. So that's how we did that. So they have the crane. The crane can go the length of the building, and the hook can go the width of the building. And it's used constantly. This is one of the rods from 93, and you really don't want to pick that up. And so what they will do is use the crane. And can you move the crane?
I can.
All right. can see, there's Con up in the basket. Con, have you had lunch yet?
Not yet.
Okay. During the day, what they do is they take the hook and hook it like on a locomotive. And then they'd all go to lunch. And if they all go to lunch, can you get down?
Not easily.
Not easily. So that was a rite of passage here. All right, hook up. That crane is incredibly, incredibly handy.
So looking at our map, we just crossed through the center door coming from the machine shop to the engine house. So we went through this door right here. And so now this track here is what Locomotive 40 is sitting on today. And we can see that that drop pit extends underneath both of these tracks in here. So we can actually drop wheels in either room. And this is one of my favorite spots, looking at the profiles here and then looking at this wall, because we can see 3 different periods of construction very easily right here. The block to the left is the 1907, directly over the door is the 1909, and up there at the ceiling is the 1941. And so we can see that very easily here. But the walls are also screaming out stories to us. And one of my favorite ones to point out is down here at the end. You'll notice behind Locomotive 40, all the bricks are fairly dirty, right? And you'll notice behind 201 that they're very clean. You notice the pattern on that change between them? They ran a locomotive through the wall.
Oh!
And so we have the dirty brick, which was the original, and then at some point, they had to rebuild the wall, and it has that nice clean brick on it.
When I took over in 2002, I would go back through old files. We had a structural engineer's report that said the engine house and machine shop building should be condemned. Nothing of historic value should be stored in them, and people should not be in the building because this building was susceptible to being blown down by high winds or seismic activity. We were very, very fortunate. We received grants from, at that time it was called the Commission of Cultural Affairs, and now it's the Commission of Cultural Centers and Historic Preservation, and they gave us funding to stabilize this building. So what we did is we bolted the steel to the brick, and we did that on every door, and that will help stabilize this building. The other repair we did is we bolted the roof to the building and then did all of these columns. The final walkthrough on that project, the structural engineer said, this building's good for another century. And we got about a century's worth of work to do too.
We do.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been down here during the photo shoots.
Oh yes.
But there's one place in this building that the crew loves to congregate when it's cold out.
Yeah.
And that is right here at our engine house stove.
Right.
Now this stove has a little bit of a storied history to it. It's got some misconceptions about it. If you look on the door, what does the door say?
It says 10,200 Denver and Rio Grande Railway.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating. 1882.
Now, you would think this is an 1882 stove, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to break it to you, it's not. We have the file on the engine house and all of the stuff they purchased for it.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out this was not a Denver and Rio Grande stove. It was a Denver and Rio Grande pattern.
Oh!
There was a foundry in Denver, Colorado that purchased the Denver and Rio Grande stove patterns and were creating these stoves in the early 1900s to sell to railroads.
Yeah, and during the winter photo shoots, cherry red.
Yep.
This will be cherry red.
So we refer to this today as the blacksmith shop.
Mm-hmm.
However, in 1941, that's not what they called it. They called this the forge shop. The big crowning piece of this is our Chambersburg steel hammer, of course, which is still in operation. We still use it for various projects, and you can see exactly what it does to a pop can inside there. But the other really cool feature in here is our oven. Does that look familiar to you?
Oddly enough, it does.
What does it look like?
The back of the steam locomotive, the firebox.
It is. They had to replace the firebox on one of the locomotives, and so they took the old firebox, turned it upside down, cut a door into it, and created an oven to heat up the metal. If you go on the outside of the building and look at the other end of this, you can still see the doorway into the original firebox. Blacksmithing fell out of favor with the advent of welding, but there were still certain things you had to forge, and so they kept an active blacksmith shop, but we don't use this on a daily basis.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this journey down the rabbit hole, and you can see why. We started, over an hour ago, and we're not even done yet, but it is just a fascinating journey.
As always, we want you to like, comment, and subscribe to these videos. Check out our social media, check out the website, nnry.com/archive. And if you have something you want to explore, let us know in the comments below and tell us where you want to go the next time we go down the rabbit hole.